Kia ora and welcome to the Niggly Nichecast. I'm the Diggly Doodad Doc, Mr. Papatoe Panther. The Slipper Man is here to talk through rugby league matters. We are just awaiting on NRL round 24 to get underway tonight. I'm recording this on Thursday afternoon, and we are going to talk briefly about the Warriors and what is happening at the Warriors at Mount Smart with regards to the Warriors NRL team, and of course all the other grades as well. And then there's a fair bit of like NRL newsy stuff that I also would like to touch on, and of course we have Kiwi NRL team list to suss out amongst that NRL newsy stuff. There hasn't been a rugby league podcast for about a week now. I was sick and just feeling pretty shitty, so just couldn't get this done. But there's been plenty to talk about. Like, I definitely wanted to jam one out there, but I just couldn't. But there's been heaps of rugby league matters to discuss, and kind of interesting rugby league matters. I will touch on that more when I talk about the general newsy stuff. But it's kind of funny. It's kind of interesting, kind of not interesting. And to sum it all up, it's basically a case, wherever you look, you have grown men acting like teenagers. It's so funny. It's so funny. Any NRL club, the successful ones, they operate with maturity and class. The ones who are in the news for dramas, they are grown men acting like drama loving teenagers. One of those clubs could be the Warriors. Depends how you look at it. The Warriors haven't been very good of late. They lost to the Roosters last weekend, and they have lost 3 of their last 4 games by rather hefty margins. Let me just check this. They lost to the Raiders 12-46 a couple of weeks ago. Then they bounced back to defeat the Seagulls 24-16. And then they lost to the Roosters. And then they also lost to the Sharks. So Roosters put 42 points on them. Sharks put 42 points on them. And the Raiders put 46 points on the Warriors. And it's been not interesting. I'm not going to say interesting because it's not interesting at all. It's rather weird. It's just weird antics, a weird vibe coming out of the Warriors. I am definitely moving away from talking and writing about the Warriors because there's just nothing there. And as I've talked about, like, I've done this kind of podcast a few times this year already, where it's just like, if this organization they don't do anything to deserve this type of coverage, that's their problem. It's not my problem. I love the amount of Kiwi NRL players in the NRL with Australian clubs. So I'll happily invest my time and resource into ensuring that people know about players from Aotearoa, Māori, Pākehā, Samoans, Tongans, Cook Islanders, whoever they are, with Australian NRL clubs who are performing at a high level. I would rather put my energy there than having to talk about the Warriors so much when they are in this type of zone. And this type of zone is just another team that isn't playing well. The Warriors are not a good football team. They struggle to score points. And as we've just seen, Raiders 46 points, Roosters 42, Sharks 42 points against the Warriors. The Warriors can't defend to save their lives. And that is a bit of an issue, but there's so many like layers and wrinkles to this Warriors stuff that I do want to talk about it just a bit. Just starting with the weird vibe between like Stephen Kearney and Cameron George. Stephen Kearney isn't really, basically anyone who talks from the Warriors isn't saying the right things, and that's a bit of a concern. Like, I'm not overly concerned about like the general direction of where the Warriors are heading. I just want to, there's just a weird vibe at the moment, and these people who are running the Warriors, whether it's Stephen Kearney, whether it's Cameron George, whoever else it is, they need to just take a look at themselves and realize that their footy team sucks. So what are you going to do to change that? That's all that I care about. I don't care about why you suck. It's just the blatant record is your team sucks. You're the coach. You're the CEO. So instead of coming out publicly and saying this or that, or maybe even instead of bickering publicly back and forth, maybe you should just focus your energy on understanding why your team sucks. That's anyone who supports the Warriors, they just want to know why the team sucks. And they want to know, they don't want to hear about from Stephen Kearney, they're going to try hard this week. Yeah, a big focus on defense. Well, too late. Where have you been all season? What have you been doing all season? What's gone on all season long? And it's just a very strange atmosphere around the Warriors at the moment, which isn't helped, to my belief, by the amount of noise and rumor and whispers about the Warriors' recruitment. I want the Warriors to be a development club. I want the Warriors to go all in on developing their own talent and bringing through players through their development pathways. I can see that their pathways are quite good. I can see that they have young talent coming through the Warriors. And again, this isn't anything new that I'm saying. I feel like I'm just repeating myself throughout the year. But somehow the Warriors are always linked to signings. They're going to sign this player, they're in the hunt for this player, they're in the market for this player. As I've always said, when the Warriors, I don't think it's actually the fault of the Warriors, but somehow the Warriors are always thrown up in these situations, and the reason they never actually follow through in signing these players is because I doubt how genuine their actual interest is. Because as I've said before, the Warriors tend to sign players underground. They send under the radar, Suddenly a player appears and the deal's done. That's how the Warriors have been operating in the past 18 to 24 months. And like players that they're chasing in the media, or players that the media are suggesting the Warriors should chase, never actually eventuate because they were probably never really all that realistic to start with. In terms of like general fixing the Warriors, well, I think we just have to dive into the development idea. We have to bring players through that can perform at the NRL level, and that way give fans something to really enjoy. Like the club produced this player, they are contributing at a high level, instead of looking elsewhere for solutions. That's what I see a lot of people talking about, is looking elsewhere for solutions without really understanding what's going on within. To the best of my knowledge, the junior pathways are looking solid. There's players coming through. There was the New Zealand under 18 and under 16 residence team, which isn't the straight up and down New Zealand under 18 team, for example. It's just the players within Aotearoa, and a lot of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 to 13 players in the under 16 or under 18 team, I can't remember exactly, but I've got it written down here, were in from those New Zealand resident squads. I think it's under 18. No, the Junior Warriors pathway system is under 16, so I think it's under 16. I don't know, but whatever. The Warriors have a lot of the best rugby league talent in Aotearoa, because 12 to 13 players in those New Zealand under 16 residents or under 18 residents are signed with the Warriors. The Warriors junior system is good. They have made changes there. They are developing talent coming through their ranks. Sure, Jersey Flegg and reserve grade performances aren't amazing, but I just want the Warriors to embrace being a development club, and that's the issue, is the mixed messaging, because the Warriors are coming out and fueling this fire of needing to sign players, instead of just being open and honest with everyone and saying, look, We're in it for the long haul. We're trying to develop talent, and we believe we're going to be at our best in a couple years' time. We need our fans to jump on board and just support us and ride or die. Instead, the Warriors have come out publicly and said, look, we're winning. We want to be in the top 8 right now. We want to win a premiership right now. And that is blowing everyone's expectations in the wrong direction. Because the Warriors are trying to publicly portray this image like they're in win now mode, when quite clearly they're not, because they suck, and they should be embracing the development aspect of being an NRL club. Fortunately for the Warriors, I don't even care who the Warriors are playing this week. They're playing the Rabbitohs at Mount Smart Friday night, whatever. See what happens. If they win, cool. If not, like everyone, that Manly Seagulls win at Mount Smart, everyone celebrated that like the Warriors bounced back against Canberra Raiders. The Warriors are a good team. They defeated one of the, premiership contenders, blah, blah, blah. No. The Warriors just throw out these performances where they come up against a team that is slightly off. Manly Seagulls slightly off. Whatever. It's probably a Friday night in Auckland. Yeah. Warriors win. All good. What happens next 2 games? 42 points put on them in either game. So what is the status quo and what is the strange result there? The win is the strange result. So the Warriors might win this game, but it doesn't mean anything because they're not a good footy team. They might win in games in isolation, but they're not good in attack. They're not good with defense, and they're just a mediocre footy team. Whatever. Blech. The good thing for the Warriors is that there are other issues around the NRL, and whether it's finals footy or whether it's the Newcastle Knights being a shambles, or maybe the beef between the Broncos and the Rabbitohs, or maybe Coach Paul Green at the Cowboys causing up a bit of a kerfuffle. Any of these storylines just push the Warriors into the back corner, which is good. No one wants to be talking about the Warriors right now. So it's good for the Warriors that they can quietly disintegrate their season into oblivion and just fizzle out. That's the best thing for the Warriors right now. It's just fizzle out. The Rugby World Cup's even starting, so people are just going to forget about the Warriors. They're just going to, in New Zealand, they're just going to instantly forget the Warriors exist, because as we've seen over the past kind of 24 hours, New Zealand has a strange fascination with the All Blacks. And in Australia, they are more concerned with primarily good rugby league teams in the NRL, or drama, news, issues. And all of this is just pushing the Warriors into the background, which I think if I was in the Warriors, I would be I wouldn't be happy, but I would be comfortable with this situation, because no one should be talking about the Warriors at the moment. They don't deserve it, but even then, there are more pressing dramas in the NRL that are taking the fore. I did mention the Newcastle Knights, and the connection with the Knights and the situation at the Warriors is an agent called Isaac Moses. Now, this Isaac Moses dude he's been in the news for a couple of different reasons for a while now. There's been different stories popping up about Isaac Moses. Isaac Moses, I think, is the agent of Stephen Kearney, Blake Green, those sorts of characters, even Adam Blair, I think. And it was a news item at some stage over the past year. I don't know when this stuff was written, but it was highlighted that Isaac Moses has a dominant presence at the Warriors. Isaac Moses has also, I think he's a type of agent, I think he's got a dominant presence at another club like Brisbane Broncos as well. Throw up any other club, I don't know, but I assume that he has a lot of players and is making these weird power plays that no agent should be making. Like, bruh, what a weirdo. But there was also another story recently about James Tedesco splitting from Isaac Moses, and there was a bit of a issue with some contractual stuff between James Tedesco, his agent, and the Roosters. So James Tedesco had split with Isaac Moses, but then the contract had some weird shit in it. So that became a little news item. And then recently we've had this Newcastle Knights situation, which is an absolute shambles of grown men just acting like babies. Wow. But the agent at the centre of this Newcastle Knights stuff is Isaac Moses. And this Isaac Moses dude, wherever he goes or whatever power plays he tries to implement, the club just turns into a shit show. It's like his track record is terrible. I don't know why you'd want to hire an agent who quite clearly creates or finds himself in drama. Sure, Isaac Moses might be a really good agent because he gets you another 100k. Wow, another 100k. What the shit? I can buy, this item or that item. Fuck it. Who cares? For your sanity and your wholesome vibes as a person, don't you want a clean conscience and having an agent who doesn't find himself in constant bullshit? Now, of course, you can look at it from a Warriors perspective and find it a bit concerning that this Isaac Moses fella has such a strong presence at the Warriors, and that could be an issue. But I just find it fascinating that someone can have such a poor track record of drama, and people still want to deal with them. These players and these clubs, they still want to do business with him, when all the evidence suggests that he's a bit slimy. None of it makes sense to me. And basically all my grown men acting like babies stuff is centered and focused around the Newcastle Knights, which is a club that is in utter turmoil, really. Like, whatever they're doing in the Newcastle Knights isn't working. And I'm not going to bore you with the full NRL 360 rundown because they beat it to death. But I will highlight how this goes back to the development club idea. Because when you develop talent and when you bring players through your club, there's a certain kind of level of loyalty or integrity or just a connection between that player and the club. Now, when you are a club who sign players to come to your club, all of that has to be built up, and even then it's going to be difficult to really implement. So if I'm trying to build a rugby league club, I'm trying to build a club where the bulk of my players come through the club. This not only gives you a bit of a situation where you may be able to get cheaper deals because the players appreciate the club and what the club stands for. They epitomize what the club stands for, and they might sacrifice a bit of money just to stay with the club that developed them. Also, those players who come through the club are going to feel a greater, stronger connection with whoever that coach might be. If the coach is an established coach who's been there for 2, 3, 4 years and has a plan in place, they have clarity in what they're doing, and they're just a good, rock solid coach, I think everyone blows up expectations. One team can win the NRL Premiership. If you don't win the NRL Premiership or the Grand Final, it doesn't mean you're a failure. I would be completely happy if the Warriors just consistently sat in the top 8. That would be fine. Every so often fall outside the top 8, all good. There is an extreme value in just being a solid, good performing NRL team who finishes, 5th, 6th, 7th consistently. That's all good. You're not going to win the premiership every single year. You're not going to make the top 8 every single year. Yeah, you should. You should aim for that. But there is value in just being a solid NRL team who win most of their games, and everyone's aim and ambition is to win NRL Grand Final. But there's no shame in being a profitable, well-run organisation with a good footy team. That's nothing wrong with that. That's all good. Now, if you've got a coach who's running that, bringing through young players, promoting young players through the grades, are they going to be... I would suggest that those players who come through the club are not going to be as eager to talk shit about the coach. They're not going to be as eager to talk to their agent and tell their agent, oh, this is shit, we need to do this, we need to get this guy in and then come here. I believe the players that come through your club are going to have a bit more fortitude as a man, as a human being, to appreciate what is happening at that club. Now, the big players at the Newcastle Knights are not from the Newcastle Knights. Kalyn Ponga's from North Queensland Cowboys. Mitchell Pearce is from the Roosters. David Clem is from the Bulldogs. You've got Tim Glasby. He's from Melbourne Storm. So the Knights went on this massive recruitment drive. Sure, the Knights, they have done a good job. Lachlan Fitzgibbon, the Saifiti brothers, Sione Matautia. Those type of dudes have come through the Newcastle Knights, but they don't really have a whole lot of gravitas to whatever they're saying or believing in. The big dogs at the Newcastle Knights are not Newcastle Knights. They have come from other clubs, and they have different perceptions, they have different beliefs, they have different maybe morals and values, and all of which just creates a shit show. Whereas you look at other clubs where players have been established, maybe they don't come through that junior pathway, but whether they do come through the junior pathway or whether they are there for a number of years, they're not going to be stirring the pot, if you know what I mean. And there's just some rock solid organizations in the NRL. There are some rock solid organizations, and they should be commended because comparatively they do a good job to the other NRL clubs. But they're just running a solid organization, a smart organization. They're just doing good things. Some of these clubs, on the other hand, are grown men acting like drama queens. It's so strange. It's so weird. I don't know what's doing. In terms of how the Knights situation might unfold for like a Kiwi NRL perspective, the Knights... we'll talk about Kalyn Ponga for a second. I just think Kalyn Ponga has found himself in a little position where life is extremely comfortable. Everything's honkadory, everything's easy, cruisy. Kalyn Ponga's enjoying a lot of popularity, and we have seen it time and time again as someone who observes sport pretty much for a living, as someone who just watches and absorbs and observes sport. These type of players, like everyone just assumes Kalyn Ponga is going to be an absolute legend. He's going to be, one of the best players for a long time. He's going to be winning grand finals. He's going to be doing this or that. It's never given. It's never promised. Well, it might be promised, but it's never like for certain. Because the Knights may find themselves in a position where, they're just a ho-hum footy team. By all reports, they'll sign this Adam O'Brien from the Roosters, blah, blah, blah. He might be a good coach. But there's a situation here where the Knights might just not blossom as everyone has expected them to. And then Kalyn Ponga's just left as a good NRL fullback who can't get his team to win. It doesn't matter. I love Kalyn Ponga, But it doesn't matter how much money you are asking for. Do you want to win? All these players talk about how much they want to win and how their dream is to win an NRL Grand Final. Not all of these players are willing to make the sacrifices required to win at such a high level. And it seems as though Kalyn Ponga is just kind of going to go wherever, the best offer is. Now, he's still under contract with the Knights. He's under contract for a long time, but there's just always these news. And his father, Andre, has been very vocal in the media as well. And the situation, on the surface, it doesn't look weird because Kalyn Ponga is such a nice guy, good, hearty whānau. They're good people. He's a prodigious talent at a wholesome Newcastle Knights club, But as we've seen in the past week, situations may not be quite as they seem, and I don't want to be too dramatic about this. I'm just offering a word of caution just about how you have to do a lot more work to really fulfill your potential as a professional athlete. You can get to this level quite easily, I believe. You can get to the level where Kalyn Ponga is right now quite easily. Maybe a nice comparison here is Cameron Munster. Cameron Munster instantly came on the scene. He's jinking all over the show. He's got a massive fend. He's skillful. He's one of the X factors in a Melbourne Storm team that has the big three. But then Cameron Munster kept performing at that level, if not better, for a number of seasons afterwards. That's why one of the best players in the game, if not the best player in the game. No one talks about Cameron Munster as being the best player in the game. He's up there. Sure, Cameron Smith is the best. But Cameron Munster's there, and he's there because he did it year after year after year to the point now where he's amazing. And he won. He wins. Sure, he's part of a different organisation altogether, so the comparison kind of falls away there, but Kalyn Ponga, to truly tap into his potential, he's got to perform at a certain level for another 2 to 3 years, if not get better. And even then, winning will only come to Kalyn Ponga if the Newcastle Knights actually sort their shit out. So nothing is guaranteed here. And of course, you've got the lure of going back to rugby union. He is a good AFL player as well, so he's got no shortage of options. And then it becomes a discussion about, well, how legendary can you be as a, code hopping mercenary? I love Sonny Bill. He's been fantastic at it. He's an amazing talent. He's one of my favourite athletes from New Zealand ever, if not the best, or if not my favourite. Is Kalyn Ponga capable of doing that? Maybe. I'm just offering this kind of word of caution and just how we judge Kalyn Ponga at the moment after this whole Newcastle Knights situation. And I'm just wary of making a judgment about Kalyn Ponga right now. I want to see where Kalyn Ponga is in a year's time and 2 years' time. I want to see what the Newcastle Knights do next season when Adam O'Brien is the coach or whatever. This is what I'm interested in. Because right now, Kalyn Ponga was part of a Newcastle Knights team that absolutely stunk last weekend against the West Tigers. And also, I'm seeing there's just some bullshit flowing from all sides. Anyone talking from the Newcastle Knights, I've just seen something about Mitchell Pearce, how the players didn't turn their back on Nathan Brown. Anything you're hearing, reading about the Newcastle Knights, take it with a grain of salt because no one's speaking the truth. So they can do their PR stuff all good, but whatever. There is also been a bit of a situation at the Melbourne Storm where beautifully Jerome Hughes has gone into halfback. Brodie Croft appears to be on the outer right now at the Melbourne Storm, and this is very good news for Jerome Hughes. I believe this is like a product of Ryan Papenhuyzen needing to be in the team. When you watch Ryan Papenhuyzen, he looks the goods. He looks amazing. So does Jerome Hughes, so does Cameron Munster. Like, that's spine for the Melbourne Storm. Papenhuyzen, Munster, Hughes, Cameron Smith. Woo! That's amazing. That's fantastic. So I think it's more of a case of Papenhuyzen and Jerome Hughes needing to be in the team. Brodie Croft is the odd man out. But I don't think it's a Brodie Croft has done this, and this wrong, so we need to drop him. I think Craig Bellamy is just trying to make pieces fit. Brodie Croft could get on the market then, whatever. I don't really want to talk about that, but because NRL contracts are retarded, we know that. Jerome Hughes, he's from Wellington. He spent time with the Gold Coast Titans. I think he might have made his debut with the Titans, but then he had a back injury. Then he had to take some time off. Then he went up to the Cowboys, I think he debuted with the Cowboys, and then after that got signed by the Melbourne Storm and has been with the Storm since a couple years now. Fantastic young player, dynamic, skillful, and usually that Munster-Hughes combination, I would view it as like a Cody Nikorima and Anthony Milford situation, where you've got two exciting playmakers and you don't have an organizer, you don't have a general. Melbourne Storm are all good with that because they got Cameron Smith as the general, so suddenly you can play Munster and Hughes in the halves. So now we have the situation with Jerome Hughes playing in the halves, which I'm very, very excited about, where we've got a whole lot of Kiwis halves. The Kieran Foran is back for the Bulldogs, so he's in the halves for the Bulldogs. You got Cody Nikorima with the Warriors. You've got Dylan Brown with the Parramatta Eels, who is doing a good job alongside Mitchell Moses. I like what Dylan Brown is offering. Mason Leno's in the halves for the Newcastle Knights. I will swing back to the Knights in a second. I just forgot to say something there. Mason Leno, not quite at that higher tier, but he's a half from Aotearoa, so that's 3. You've got 4, sorry. So Kieran Foran, Cody Nikorima, Dylan Brown, Mason Leno. That's 4. Then you have Jerome Hughes, that's 5. Then you have Benji Marshall and Sean Johnson. So 6 or 7, depending on how you view Mason Leno. 6 or 7 halves. Take Mason Leno out of the equation, and that's 6 halves competing for an Aotearoa Kiwis halves spot. When have we ever had 6 options? I think the default best option is Kieran Foran and Sean Johnson. That's like the ideal combination, I think. Benji Marshall is fantastic. I love Benji Marshall. Benji Marshall is phenomenal. And he could very easily be among that top tier. Kieran Foran, Sean Johnson and Benji Marshall. Right now, I would have 2 of those 3 as my Kiwis halves combination. However you want to slice it. Benji Marshall probably won't play hooker though. The general point here though is that Cody Nikorima has been in the halves for the Kiwis since Michael Maguire basically took over. Last year he was playing, I think he played alongside Sean Johnson last year, and then this year it was Sean Johnson and Benji Marshall. I don't think it's any type of certainty that Cody Nikorima will be a Kiwis half at the end of this season. I think Dylan Brown is playing better footy than Cody Nikorima. Benji Marshall is playing better footy than Cody Nikorima. Sean Johnson and Kieran Foran have the pedigree to be selected ahead of Cody Nikorima. And Jerome Hughes, if he's playing in the halves for a fantastic Melbourne Storm team, Jerome Hughes, he's playing better footy than Cody Nikorima. So all these players, suddenly the halves depth for Aotearoa is fantastic, and Cody Nikorima has to pull something out of the bag. He's not playing great footy for the Warriors. No one with the Warriors is really commanding Aotearoa Kiwis selection other than Roger Tuivasa-Sheck and Cody Nikorima included. So I'm just throwing that idea out there that Cody Nikorima, no way, shape or form should he be viewed as like a locked selection for the Aotearoa Kiwis. Swinging back to the Knights, you've got guys there that like Herman Ese, who appeared to have a bit of an issue with Nathan Brown earlier in the season, was in and out of the NRL team. Just wonder what's going to happen with Herman Ese. He was told to look elsewhere. Rumours have been about him moving to the Bulldogs. And then James Gavey as well started the season, but has struggled to get into that Newcastle Knights team in recent weeks. So they are a couple of players who could be impacted positively or negatively by the Nathan Brown situation. Also, the last newsy thing, we've got it appears as Apasai Korosel will be going to the Bulldogs next season. And I've got something up here from NRL.com about the movement of dummy halves around the NRL. Danny Levi appears to be on the outer at the Newcastle Knights, which could be a bit of a situation. Of course, the Warriors made a play for Korosel, but he appears to be staying in Sydney with the Bulldogs. So I just believe the Warriors should have faith in Isaac Luke, but they don't seem to have that faith. And to be honest, the Warriors are not in any kind of leverage position because they suck. So you can't say Isaac Luke, it's just weird to say Isaac Luke, we don't need you, when you don't have a whole lot of options and your team sucks, and the Warriors being shit doesn't have a whole lot to do with Isaac Luke. Isaac Luke's the type of player who in a good team is going to be performing well, and in a shit team he's going to be performing less than ideal because he can't run, because his forward pack's getting dominated, blah blah blah. So Isaac Luke may be part of this, but the dude I'm thinking about here, if Apasai Korosel goes to the Bulldogs, Jeremy Marshall-King is a player I'm very interested in. And the reason I bring this up is because no one else is going to bring it up, because no one else is like a rugby league Kiwi NRL nerd like myself. Jeremy Marshall-King, younger brother of Benji Marshall, he has been a key figure, kinda, in the Bulldogs' resurgence of late. There was a period between rounds 17 and 21 where Jeremy Marshall-King, he had started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He has started 13 games at hooker for the Bulldogs in a row. Then he went back to the bench, and Michael Leacher started at hooker. But what happened, so Jeremy Marshall-King went back to the bench for 5 games. The last 3 of those games, Jeremy Marshall-King came off the bench to play 53 minutes, 51 minutes, and 43 minutes. So he was coming off the bench but playing more minutes than the starting hooker. And then in the last 2 weeks, against the Rabbitohs and Eels, Jeremy Marshall-King has started at hooker and played 80 minutes. So Jeremy Marshall-King has been doing a great job for the Bulldogs at hooker, especially recently. Excuse me. Especially recently, he has been fantastic in a strong Bulldogs team. So I'm just interested, what's going to happen with Jeremy Marshall-King moving forward with the Bulldogs? He moved away from the West Tigers before last season, played with the Bulldogs. He left the Tigers because the Tigers had so much dummy half depth. Suddenly the Tigers don't have any dummy half depth. Benji Marshall's playing at hooker, which is strange because his younger brother was a dummy half at the West Tigers. And now the Bulldogs appear to have signed Coruscant, and I'm just throwing it out for next season. What's that going to happen? What's that going to mean for Jeremy Marshall-King? Rightio. I will just flow straight into these Kiwi NRL team lists because hold on a second. I will touch on the team of the week for New South Wales and Queensland reserve grade competitions, because the Canterbury Cup, which is New South Wales reserve grade competition, there was a little interesting thing here. Mawane Hiroti from the South Sydney Rabbitohs, he was named at centre for the team of the week, his fourth team of the week selection this year. And then you had Jackson Ferris from Cronulla Sharks. This was his third team of the week selection this year. They were the centre combo for the team of the week in New South Wales. Reserve grade. Mawane Hiroti, he is from Taranaki. He has played NRL footy for the Rabbitohs. Centre wing, appears to have fallen down the pecking order with Wayne Bennett's arrival. Jackson Ferris, he is from the Manawatu, and he is a centre with the Cronulla Sharks. These two, Hiroti and Ferris, they played for the Junior Kiwis last year. So that's a pretty cool nod for them. Different clubs. Jackson Ferris feels like he could make his NRL debut next season. Mawane Hiroti has already made his debut, but just a cool little Kiwi NRL reserve grade note there. And then up in Queensland, team of the week for the Intrust Super Cup, you had Jordan Ricky. He is from Canterbury, and he got signed to the Brisbane Broncos. He is playing for North's Devils. And apparently, he got team of the week selection on the bench. He is primarily a forward, but apparently he has played his last few games on the wing, which is a bit weird. I don't know what the go was there, but he has played 14 games for North Devils this year. I think he is still eligible for Jersey Flegg. So he could be in the Junior Kiwis this year. Jordan Ricky, keep an eye on that name. He had come off the interchange bench pretty much all season long, and in the last few games he's apparently started on the wing. So he won Team of the Week selection this week on the bench for North Devils. Fantastic. But what I'm most interested here is another player, Rory Ferguson. So Rory Ferguson, he is from the deep, deep, deep south. From like Invercargill or some shit. And he was also signed to the Brisbane Broncos. So what we have here is a celebrated Brisbane Broncos forward pack. And then in the tier below, you have Rory Ferguson and Jordan Ricky, two Kiwi NRL reserve graders who, assuming they are eligible, should be good to go for the Junior Kiwis this year. And they could add to the Brisbane Broncos forward pack. the Brisbane Broncos have a fantastic forward pack, and they have these two young Kiwi players who could come into that forward pack, which is very exciting. The reason I'm getting this vibe is because I do believe they are both Jersey Flegg eligible, or up in Queensland I think it's Hastings Daring Colts, which is under 20s up in Queensland. Jordan Rickie's played 14 games of reserve grade for North Devils, which is a feeder club for Brisbane Broncos. Rory Ferguson has played 23 games for South Logan Magpies, another feeder club for the Brisbane Broncos. And Rory Ferguson, first half of the season, started 3 games, bench, started, bench, and then what do we have here? Last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 10 games, Rory Ferguson has started in the middle for the South Logan Magpies, and he has played 47 minutes, 60 minutes, 56 minutes, 71 minutes, 75 minutes, 80 minutes, 37 minutes, 71 minutes, and 63 minutes. So he's playing massive minutes, and he's a young dude from the deep south, signed to the Brisbane Broncos. Shout out to Rory Ferguson, remember the name. Jordan Rickie, remember the name. Jordan Rickie is no relation to Preston Rickie. Preston Rickie, I believe, yes, he is on the bench for the Warriors reserve grade team this week. Preston Rickie is also a good, promising young forward from Aotearoa and, of course, the Warriors. Alright, I've been here for way too long, so I'll just hit straight up to these team lists for this week. Tonight, you got the Bulldogs versus Cowboys. Excuse me, gonna cough again. Alright, I'm very sorry about that coughing, but, fucking hell. Just how we roll. Cowboys versus Bulldogs. If you're listening to this after this game, I want you to think about Peter Holler, who has come into the Cowboys top 17 recently with the Matt Scott situation. Peter Holler is a Maris Saints Jr. from Auckland, fantastic young forward. He is Tongan as well, so that Jason Taumalolo connection will probably see Peter Holler move towards Tonga, but he has represented the junior Kiwis last year, and then the year before that he represented New Zealand under 18. The Bulldogs, Jordan Kau's back at centre for the Cowboys, Jason Taumalolo starting in the middle. Bulldogs, Watanese Lesniak, Kieran Foran, Marshall King at hooker, Corey Harawira-Naera is on an edge, and then you've got Renouf Tu'umanga. He is from Porirua Vikings. He is also, like Peter Holler, Renouf Tu'umanga has come onto the Bulldogs bench in recent times and done a very good job as part of their resurgent outfit. So look out for that battle between Peter Holler and Renouf Tu'umanga. Raymond Faitala Mariner is also on the bench for the Bulldogs. Corey Harawira-Naera continues to impress, and he's part of that group that I will mention throughout these team lists as someone being on the cusp of Kiwis squad selection at the end of this year. Peter Holler could be a new face for Tonga, I reckon. Warriors versus Rabbitohs, who cares? Broncos versus Eels. Broncos, Jermaine Isako's looked good in recent weeks. Alex Glenn starting in the centres. Eels, Dylan Brown, part of that, looking to make a Kiwis squad, crack a Kiwis squad at the end of this year. Marata Niukore is also in that mix. Remember that name, Marata Niukore, doing a fantastic job in the Eels forward pack, and this week he starts in the middle, in the absence of Nathan Brown. So wherever Brad Arthur, the Eels coach, puts Marata Niukore, he does a good job. Whether it's on the edge, whether it's on the bench, whether it's starting in the middle, Marata Niukore is a undercover beast. Manu Ma'u starting on edge for the Eels. Pene Terapo is back on the bench, and Brad Takarangi is on the bench as well. Knights, you got Sean Kenny-Dow doing his best, Mason Lino in the halves, And then Herman Esaese does have a bench spot. Jesse Arthurs has come back into the Titans team. He's playing on the wing. Remember that Jesse Arthurs is off to the Brisbane Broncos next season. Moeaki Fotuaika has signed a new deal with the Gold Coast Titans and is one of their best forwards, if not their best forward, second to Jai Arrow. Kevin Proctor also starting on an edge for the Titans. Seagulls, Mari Tapau, Manasi Whanu coming off the bench. Storm have Jerome Hughes in the halves, as I said. Jesse Bromwich, Nelson Asafa-Solomona, Kenny Bromwich. Brandon Smith is also on the bench for the Melbourne Storm. Remember, Jesse Bromwich and Nelson Asafa-Solomona have played every single game this year for the Melbourne Storm. Roosters versus Panthers. Roosters, Joseph Manu in the centres, Warea Hargraves and Isaac Liu starting as the prop rotation, and then you've got Zane Teravano and Siosua Tokiaho coming off the bench. Satili Tuponuia and Asu Kipaoa on the extended bench. So it seems as though as the Roosters get to full strength ahead of the finals, Satili Tuponuia and Pawasa Fa'amasili, they drop out of the top 17, which is understandable, and then they are ready to do a good job in the finals because they've performed at a high level in their opportunities this season. I would love to see Asu Kipaoa get a debut this year. He's part of the Roosters' kind of wider squad. Went to England earlier in this year. He is a Ellerslie Eagles and Richmond junior. And I think he got signed by the Roosters, part of their SG Ball program. And then he went to Australia 2017, I believe. Someone to keep an eye on. That's the thing about the Roosters. Everyone hates on the Roosters for having a salary cap sombrero, and when you talk about the Roosters developing their own talent, everyone, scoffs at it and, the Roosters don't have a junior system. Well, how can they develop talent? All the Kiwi players at the Roosters, apart from Warea Hargraves, have come through the Roosters junior system. The Roosters, whether you like it or not, are primarily a development club. Because Joseph Manu, Siosua Tokiaho, well, not all of them, right? So not all of them, because Isaac Liu was a West Tigers junior. I may have twisted that a bit, but they have come into NRL players at the Roosters. But then you look at that younger generation, Satili Tuponuia, Roosters under 20s, Pawasa Fa'amasili, Roosters under 20s, Joseph Manu, Roosters under 20s, Asu Kipaoa, Roosters under 20s. These guys are signed from New Zealand. They go to the Roosters, they get sorted out, just like the Melbourne Storm do, and then they come into the NRL. So you can't hate on the Roosters for signing players and how do they fit them all into their salary cap without understanding that the Roosters do actually do a great job of developing talent, whether you like it or not. Dean Whare starting at centre for the Panthers. Moses Leota, he is starting at prop for the Panthers, and James Fisher-Harris moves back to lock. And then you got Jerome Luai coming off the bench in that utility role for the Panthers. Sharks, Sione Katoa on the wing, and then you've got the kid from Otara who first played soccer, Ronaldo Mulatalo, Queensland age group representative, on the wing for the Sharks. Sean Johnson in the halves, Britton Nakora on an edge, Braden Hamlin-Uele. Braden Hamlin-Uele should be in a Kiwi squad end of the year. Should be. Definitely. I would love to see him part of that Kiwi mix. Get him in the camp. Show him what it's all about. Raiders, Shans Nickel-Clockstead at fullback, Bailey Simonson, Jordan Rapana are your wingers, and then you've got Iosia Soliola starting at prop. Saliva Havili. There was a week or two where Saliva Havili wasn't on the Raiders bench, Because what happened, Joey Leilua came back, and then Bailey Simonson takes up that bench utility role. Now with Joey Leilua suspended, Simonson goes to wing, and it opens up that bench role for Saliva Havili. And if the Raiders are playing finals footy, I hope we get to see Saliva Havili playing finals footy as part of that Raiders team, and he isn't pushed out. Dragons versus Tigers. Dragons are a bunch of haters. West Tigers have SM Masters at centre, Benji Marshall, and then on the bench you got Elijah Taylor, who is enjoying a bit of a resurgence at the Tigers, getting good game time off the bench, playing in the middle, and Michael Cheekham. Round 24. I'll be back early next week to talk through a couple of notes, ideas, thoughts, what I'm seeing in the NRL at this time of year based on what's happening with the Warriors, but also what's happening in the NRL. I will talk a lot more broadly about the NRL. Of course, keep that Kiwi NRL focus, but we will explore everything that is happening in the NRL as well. So, kia kaha, support the Niche Case and the Niche Cast as best you can. We've got a Patreon page. Like, subscribe, rate, review. Tell us where you're listening from. And if you do want me to touch on any topics specifically, ask a question, communicate with us, and let us know that you're part of the Niche Case whānau. Cheer, cheer, stay beautiful.